What was one of the most exotic foods you had in the Philippines?
I have two. So dog and balut, which is fertilized duck egg.
What was one of the most crazy or dangerous experiences?
A crazy experience in general is the mode of transportation. Sometimes one of my areas, you just rode on the back of a motorcycle and you get 3 or 4 guys on the back of it and it gets pretty wild.
What was one of the most spiritual experiences that you had?
Where do I begin? I remember about 6 months into my mission, I started fasting for the gift of tongues, like really fasting for it. And that's about the time I learned how to speak the language. So that kind of ties into the 2 years long of the gift of tongues was the most amazing spiritual experience.
Any funny language mistakes that you or any other missionaries made?
Just a brief story. One time we were visiting a less active, and it was in my first area, and they were talking about another member and how they had a family member recently pass away. And, you know, they were just talking away, and my companion was like throwing in different phrases or whatever, comments, and, you know, things got kind of awkwardly quiet for a second, and so I just like, yep, nod my head a little bit and go, "Maupai," which means good. And so while they're talking about this guy who just passed away, I'm like, yep, good. But it was just a complete misunderstanding. It was pretty funny.
What was one of the greatest life lessons you learned?
I learned that I'm not perfect and that I never will be perfect in this life. There's a lot of things that we all constantly need to work on to get to where we want to be.
What was one of the greatest skills you developed on your mission?
Loving people would probably be that skill. Really learning how to see people the way God sees them, even if they are, you know, a frustrating companion or an investigator who won't progress, or, you know, somebody who just slammed their door in my face. I was just trying to love those people.
Most extreme weather you experienced?
The typhoon. But other than that, there was this one day where it flooded just, you know, up to our knees. It was flooding. And, you know, that happened a couple of times. So there was a couple of nice floods.
How high would it flood?
It would get up to my knees, sometimes a little bit higher. Happened 2 or 3 times, yeah.
What was one of the hardest things that you experienced or went through?
One of the hardest experiences I've had to go through is rejection from people. I had an investigator who was extremely progressing, and she couldn't be baptized because she wasn't 18. She needed permission from her parents. And you know, that was kind of, it just kind of died at that because, you know, her parents wouldn't even listen to anything we had to say. So, you know, that was the most difficult thing in my mission. And it happened, you know, multiple times, but it was definitely one of the hardest.
Best advice you could give to a pre-missionary going out?
Work hard. Don't stop working. Just every single day work harder than you did the day before, and you'll see miracles, you'll see God's love, and you'll see tons of success in your own life and in your missionary work.
And then finally, best advice you could give to someone just getting home from their mission. What's your missionary?
You're not perfect. You still have a long ways to go. We all do. Don't stop reading, don't stop praying, and don't stop asking questions. Because God will answer your questions now just like He did in the mission field. He loves you just as much now as He did before. And, you know, you got to continually prove and show Him that you love Him back. And you do that by doing the primary answers: reading, praying, and going to church.